Okay, so it's 6:36. We'll call the meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Select Board. It is December 4th, 2023. Attendance for the board right now is Charlie, Suzanne, Mark, and Leanne. Emily should be joining us via Zoom any minute, but we'll get going in the meantime. First order of business, as always, is to review and approve, is to review the agenda and make any changes. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I have a couple things to add.
Yep.
Just an update on the Reagan Road power project.
Cool.
And actuator quote for the water plant. And then Creamy Bridge to turnaround.
Actuator for water plant, Creamery Bridge. Great.
Can I also add, I don't know if you want to make it 6B1, but just some sort of note about discussing the developments of the reconstruction project for the PSP.
The PSP. Yeah. Well, let's just add that under old business.
Okay.
Okay. I have one deletion to the agenda that can be made. I apparently do not know how to read a calendar, and we are not meeting on Christmas.
I thought it's the 18th.
Yeah, it's not. So there's no need to reschedule the meeting from Christmas because that's not the second Monday of the month. So it's an easy one. All right. If there's no other things to be added or changes to be made to the agenda, hey Emily. So if there's no other changes to be made to the agenda, we'll move on to the review and approval of the minutes of the November 20th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as written?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
We have a motion to approve the minutes as written by Suzanne. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Leanne. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye. I see Emily's hand go up, so that is unanimous. Motion carries. Public Works updates. First item here is the Longley Bridge Road Trout River work update. So the item here for the board this evening is a amendment to the agreement with Northwest Regional Planning. So as folks remember, we've got an agreement with NRPC through the TAP grant that we've got to pay for NRPC's time on the project. The original contract amount was for $18,750. Given extra work that NRPC has done and the time Dean's put in trying to herd cats and corral the circus, we do need to increase that amount by $2,695.20. As a note, that is still subject to the TAP grant reimbursement rates. So the project limit would be increased by that amount, which is that about $2,700 would only result in about $540 additional out of pocket from Montgomery.
Oh, okay.
So just to be clear, the amount would go up by that amount, but that's subject to 20% match agreement. So, so the amendment that needs to be tackled tonight is just increasing the limiting rate with NRPC from $18,750 to $21,445.26. Dean from NRPC has joined us tonight. So Dean, feel free to chime in now with any additional clarifications or anything that I missed or misspoke.
I don't think you misspoke. I just wanted to be here in case there were any questions about it. It is a request that we make. Yeah, I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Great, thanks Dean. Any questions anybody has from the board?
I have none.
No.
No?
Makes
It's
sense.
pretty understandable.
Yeah, given the ins and outs of this project, I think it's understandable that it's gone over budget in the management of it, so,
Yeah.
you know, no large concerns. So if there's no questions for Dean or any further discussion, then we'd entertain a motion to approve amendment number 2 to the agreement for municipal project management services between NRPC and the town of Montgomery for the Longley Bridge Road project, increasing the limiting amount to $21,445.26.
I'll make that motion, what you just said.
Great, we've got a motion from Mark. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Suzanne. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, we can vote. All those in favor of approving the amendment, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. See Emily and I hear Emily, so that's unanimous approval, 5-0, so motion carries. Excellent, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah, thank you, Dean.
I just, how's everything coming along, all right? Everybody getting paid, or is that?
Yeah, I think so. So I just talked with Dean a little bit. We've got some invoices from JTC tonight in the warrants. Those go through the beginning of November or the end of October. So we have kind of flagged to just keep an eye out for the next invoice that comes in from JTC to see if they were billing us for the time to come here and talk to us. We haven't seen an invoice for that yet, so we don't know, but we've got invoices in the stack to approve tonight. I took a quick look at them. They all look okay.
Okay.
We do have a large invoice from King's, which is the contractor that we got in. I think JTC and King's didn't quite understand the timing on when invoices have to get in to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So the invoice from King's, it's for, I don't have it pulled up, but couple $100,000 at least, I think. It's the bulk of the construction.
Yeah.
So it just came in, we just got it today. I think Dean got it maybe last week. The project itself has been approved by the board through the approval of the TAP grant. So per our purchasing policy, we don't need to specifically vote to approve the invoice,
No.
but we'd have to sign it, and we don't have a warrant for it tonight. And so I think there was kind of I guess they didn't understand that, invoices submitted typically need to get in like the Thursday before the meeting to make it into a warrant.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, the invoice from King's is gonna be batched with the next batch of warrants to get signed.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Charlie, if I can just jump in there, as far as the schedule, there was a signature that was required by someone at V-Trans who was out, and that signature
Yeah.
evidently came today. So the invoice wasn't actually received, or that pay requisition actually wasn't received until this afternoon. So it came in today because they were waiting for the signature from someone from V-Trans on something, and that's why it's just late-breaking news.
I got you.
If I'd had it last week, I would have made sure you had it, but no, I only had it only today.
Okay. When did King's submit the invoice to V-Trans, do you know?
Well, it doesn't go through V-Trans. The signature that was holding things up was a signature related to the change order. And that happened today. I think they were both essentially simultaneously done. As soon as the V-Trans signature happened, then Brian Fletcher issued the pay rec. I think he was just holding on to it until that V-Trans signature was attached to the change order. But V-Trans doesn't approve it. It was the change order that V-Trans was adding its fourth signature to.
Okay, gotcha. Appreciate the clarification on that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, anything else on the Longley Bridge project anybody's got questions on? If not, we'll move on to, this is, Emily, I don't know if you joined when you hopped on, but we've got a couple added items here. So item 3B is added from Mark. This is the Reagan Road Power Project, and that's what we're gonna move to now.
So we're meeting with Vermont Electric this week to look at where to locate the poles and everything to get the power up to that site.
Great.
Because the other landowners didn't want us going. So now we're going
Yeah.
through Teresa Begnosh's. So I talked to Teresa today, she's on board with it, so.
Great.
So I'm supposed to be meeting with them this week, Scott and I, so we'll update you at the next meeting.
Okay, awesome.
Because it sounds like they could put those in this winter, so.
That's great, if they can get them in. I wasn't sure if we were already past the point of no return on that kind of stuff.
No, sometimes they like doing that time of year.
Good.
So they're not quite so busy. Well,
Awesome.
if we don't get storms.
Well, yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Unheard of, right? Yeah.
And then we met with Chad on the Creamy Bridge turnaround,
Yep.
because he had some stones there he wanted to place. And we came to the conclusion that he's gonna talk to the landowner across the road, and we're gonna look at putting a turnaround up above, across from Amy's, on the right-hand side of the road coming down.
Okay.
Because of the erosion on that bank and everything. And Lindsay and Clarissa were there, Lindsay from
MRBA?
MRBA, and we might be able to get some grant money because it's improving water quality. So we might be able to get grant money to put a turnaround up above. So
Great.
right now, everything just staying the way it is.
Okay. And that'll still function for the winter, this winter,
Yes.
until we figure it out? Everyone's cool with that
We
staying?
had an agreement with Chad, and
Good.
Chad's gonna talk to the landowner over there, and then I said, anything we do, something, we gotta have something in writing.
Yeah.
So, it's leveler up there, you know, then it's away from the stream bank and everything, so.
Great.
So you gonna straighten out those boulders that he brought in there?
No, we're just gonna leave them where they are for now. And then truck one broke down
I
this
know.
morning.
I was coming down to the
Yeah.
town and I was driving around the corner
we
and
got
all of a
the spare
sudden I
truck.
look and there's the truck up on the tow truck.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, figures.
Heading to Valencourt.
Yeah.
Luckily we got the spare ones, so they could keep going.
Yeah.
But, yeah, something with the belt broke on for the water pump, so I don't know if the water pump seized up or what.
Okay.
Or that part finally let go, or,
Yeah.
so it's at Valencourt, he's just diagnosing it now.
Okay.
But we're still moving because we got the spare truck. So, so that's that. What else?
The actuator for the water plant was another
Yeah.
one I wanted to hit.
So the actuators are the butterfly valves that open the valves when the plant comes on for the vessels. And two of them have been giving me problems, and so I called Pure Flow to get a quote to replace two of them, because if those to go, then the plant's not gonna run.
Yeah.
So the quote was for $4,382, like $2,200 a piece,
Okay.
for two of them.
Are you taking notes?
And then we'll have to get somebody to come in to install them.
Yeah.
But I just wanna get them on hand so that
Yeah.
if the other ones finally go.
Do you know how long the actuators that we've got in there, how old they are? I'm just curious,
Well-
like how long do these usually last?
Well, it was all installed 2008, 2009.
So these are like original ones?
Yeah, these are
Oh,
the
yeah.
original ones. I
Okay.
replaced a couple of the other ones. And the issue with those was the moisture would get into them, and the new ones they're making, but they redesigned them so the moisture's not getting in. So the moisture gets in and it corrodes things, and then they start failing.
Okay.
So,
Great.
so that's the quote I have.
What was the quote for?
$4,382
Great.
for two of them.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the expenditure for the new actuators for the water plant in the amount, I'd say an amount not to exceed $4,500?
Yeah, this is the quote. Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Great.
I'll second.
Great. We have a motion made by Leanne, seconded by Suzanne.
Are there only two valves altogether?
No, there's 6 on each filter, so,
Okay, but there's just two that are specifically done.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Should we
The rest-
expect that the other ones will need to be replaced presently?
I think I've already replaced 2 already, and I checked the other ones and they look all right, so
Okay.
I think it's gonna get us by for
Okay.
a while.
Okay.
Great.
Um,
We've got a motion made and seconded on the table to approve the expenditure in the amount of $4,500. Any further discussion? Not hearing any, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. And that was unanimous, Emily, just in case you didn't catch it. Yep.
And then you had a question about where the class 4 ended on the.
Oh, yeah. Did that make sense? Like what I said?
Where I told him, I think that's pretty much where it is. Where.
And is that where, because if you look at the, did what I said make sense?
It's like 700,000 feet after the bridge.
Okay.
You know,
So the
700.
spot you marked is the
Yes.
end of the unimproved?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
great. I will let him know that, because the question
Yeah.
was whether or not that was the end of the class 4 road as designated as gravel surface, hard pack, whatever. Because
Oh, okay, yeah.
it's like, it's kind of confusing, because when you look at it, it looks almost like it changes to a trail, but the designation
no.
is still the code around the highway number.
Yeah.
Which is still class 4.
Yeah.
So even though the graphic on the line changes, it's still class 4 town highway.
Yeah.
So, okay.
yeah,
All right, well, if that's confirmed, I'll let him know that,
Yeah.
so that we can get that finally taken care of.
yeah.
Good.
Charlie, are you making notes? Because I'm struggling to hear like all that's like some of the details of what's happening. I'm hearing like the broad strokes, but like I definitely can't hear Mark.
Oh, I
So
guess I can speak
I'm
up.
not keeping up with notes on my end.
Okay, that's fine. Take whatever minutes you can. I'll take some
Okay.
notes. I'll take some notes too, and then we can always reconcile it against the recording if we got to fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, though. Okay, cool.
okay.
Good to know.
That's that question.
Good. Anything else for Public Works?
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. If there's nothing else under Public Works, we're a little bit ahead of schedule, so if there's no objection, we'll move to visitors. And since I think everybody in the room is here for the Town Hall Committee, is that right? Yeah. Why don't we jump to that? Does that work for folks? All right. So we're going to jump to new business, item 6A. This is the Grange Town Hall Committee. And so this was kind of discussed conceptually at our last meeting. The feedback we gave the folks who came was to come back with some recommendations on appointments the board can make, as well as a scope of work for the committee. And so tonight we've got Abe, Tosca, Tiff, and Joanne here from the committee, or who are volunteering. The proposed committee, yeah. So I guess what I'll just start with is I'll open it up to anybody here regarding the committee, just to offer any opening thoughts or anything you want to say before we move into considering the formation of the committee and the appointments.
Yeah, sure, we'll go.
Not our chairman.
Not the chairman.
Yeah.
We'd be focused that in.
Hey, what's up, Jimbo?
Yeah, so basically what we're looking to do is just try to take care of the building, mainly keep it up to date. And one of the ways we thought about doing that is being able to do more community events there that could be used as fundraising events. Also just giving another option or another place for people that want to like do things like yoga or dance lessons like they have been doing there. And a lot of people that are doing it now, so that they would continue to do that throughout the winter if it was available. And I've had a couple other people approach me to do other things sort of similar to that, which would all be paying, would pay and make money towards the building itself, or just at least paying for the heat, paying for any kind of upgrades we can do. We are also working on looking up grants and to find any kind of way that we can do upgrades to the interior of the building. The exterior seems to be in pretty good shape. I know the siding is relatively new, roof's in pretty good shape. The foundation seems to be pretty good, it just needs maybe just a little bit of work, just maybe just resealing it, recoating it, taking care of any kind of mold issues, if there is any. And then also maybe upgrading the kitchen and making that usable again for some of the events that we can offer food for. It just has a lot of opportunity. It's been like a staple to the community for such a long time, and to see it not being used for 4 months of the year when it could be, I think it'd be a great place to start, is just seeing what it's gonna take and what we can do to make it happen.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at designating it as a historical site, so I think that'll help you with grants and everything. Sue Wilson's been working on that.
Yeah, I did hear that, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll probably help with grants to improve the building.
Yeah.
There was also discussion, and we got info from Liz, and upgrading the building use policy.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
diving deep into the BYOB policy that is, I've spoken to the liquor control department, and theoretically, a town-sponsored event that charges money and serves food, it's illegal to have BYOB. There needs to be an upgrade to protect the town from just liability in general.
Yeah.
Private folks can still get that rider on their homeowners, but, so just re-looking at that policy and beefing it up a little bit to protect the town. And frankly, using, some licensed providers to get in on the action when we have fundraisers.
Yeah.
Being able to pull your liquor license and make a little extra money for your own business would be a good share situation, but.
Yeah, pulling like a bigger event on a weekend or something, to be
Yeah.
able to have some of the other businesses that would be taking a small hit from that event, maybe giving them the opportunity to still be able to make some money.
Rotate the, Bernie's does it, Snowshoe, Lily,
Yep.
big people. Anyway, and getting the kitchen back.
Yep.
To where it was, and I've reached out to the health inspector, who actually lives in town. He's just retired, but he's willing to come over and go through the kitchen with me.
Good.
So hopefully we can schedule that at some point, but
Yeah.
he's kind of bored, so.
He is, okay.
Well, he just, he's traveling around. He's now a traveling
Yeah, yeah.
inspector,
Is that
so
what you
now
heard?
he's like getting to
Well, I
eat in
haven't-
southern Vermont.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from him yet.
Really?
So I gotta call him back, and maybe he just didn't get the message I left him. But if he's
Right.
bored, I got another job for him, which is town health officer.
Oh, he
Yeah.
might,
Yeah.
I mean, he's right now, he's being used a little bit still, he's like on
Yep.
retainer, so when the new guys don't show up, so he did my kitchen this year, and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to, I'm like, I know, you're retired.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll catch him.
Anyway, so he's,
I'll catch up with him.
he said he'd be willing to take a look, but, I know they took the hood out a few years ago, and I don't think we need to put one back in at this point, unless we're putting friolators and flat tops in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So we winterized the upstairs.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's great.
we weren't sure what was gonna happen, and so
Yeah.
we just didn't want anything to freeze up there.
I think we had maybe a little plan to sneak into the basement and do some inventory and maybe some basic cleanup. And
Yeah, we keep the
on
heat
a
on
little
down there
bit,
anyway.
so-
in the
Yeah.
basement.
Yeah, I don't think anything as of right now is planned for
Yeah.
upstairs. The biggest thing is trying to figure out the best course of action to make it the most
Okay, so
efficient.
that's why we
Yep.
did that,
Yeah.
just to.
And I think was mentioned at the last meeting, Suzanne, maybe you might have mentioned it, to do, make all the thermometers so they're auto set.
Yeah, wireless,
Wireless.
so you
I
can
think-
monitor them from externally.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. That'd be a good.
Yeah, what's up, Brad?
Oh, there's Jer-
Are you looking at trying to do this for this winter?
I don't think so, I think we
It'd
pretty
be pretty
much
hard to do,
tabled.
I
Yeah.
think, at this point.
Yeah, it's only a
Yeah.
few more months, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
We
hope
weren't
to back
even-
up at town meeting anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too soon, we'd have our first public meeting, we'd pick a day. That this room is available initially, I have the list.
Yep.
Of when we can, and then post that and do the regular, town committee requirements with minutes and posting meetings and agendas and all that.
But the basement, I mean, keep that heated in,
Yeah.
so if you wanna go in.
I mean, that's where most of the work needs to be done at this point to make the entire building usable, ceiling tiles and stuff like that, so just getting an idea.
We can start looking at grants and stuff too.
Yep.
Maybe next winter we get it tightened up a little bit better, so. Before.
I think we'd love to see an FFA, maybe a resurgence of the original Grange, maybe some scouting clubs that meet there after school. Our buildings right now are generally full with activities, and this provides a larger venue,
Yeah.
especially upstairs if there was a community dinner or a dance or something of that nature. It wouldn't be in competition, it would be in tandem
Mhm.
with the other great halls that we have here,
Yeah.
some of which are also not available during the winter.
Yeah.
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 We're on board with it.
Yeah, so we do have a list of interested parties for participation on the committee that's been provided to us. So the names I've got that were offered to the board here are Brad Elliott, Abe Barnard, Tosca Smith, Tiffany Salyards, Tara Lumbra, Joanne Dennis, and Shane Mercy. So that would be a membership of 7, so it's an odd number. Were you guys thinking about anything regarding offsetting terms or anything?
I mean, we wanna be an appointed board as opposed to elected,
Yeah,
so.
well, you would be, because it's not
Yeah, so I
statutory.
mean, let's follow the whatever, 3, 3, 2.
I mean, yeah, we can just do 3-2, 3-2, 3-2 if you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever makes the simplest sense, I
Because
mean.
we have some boards that are just all, like the garden club, I think.
It's all,
For
It's
like,
all,
every year.
it's all
Every
a
year.
1-year term that
Yeah.
expires.
Yeah, no, I
So we can also do that, but,
I mean, or just go 3-year terms, and if somebody, I mean, because we're not elected, it's easy enough if somebody wants to step down to come in
Yeah.
and say, this person is interested, I'm gonna resign, and here's our next. It's what the rec board does, stagger terms, or
yep,
they-
rec board is stagger terms,
Yeah,
yeah.
do whatever you want. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3 to 1.
Okay, well, let's
I don't
do,
even have Shane's contact.
let's do
info
three,
yet,
let's
so
do
I just
3-year,
cut-
we'll do 3-year terms and 2-year terms.
Sure.
So, if the board is comfortable, I mean, I guess I should say, out of the names that I've just read, do board members or anybody else participating this evening have any other names of interested parties for consideration?
No.
All right, if not, then just looking at the list and thinking about the staggering, I'm just gonna go 3-2, 3-2, 3-2. So, what I would move is that the board formally form a town hall committee and appoint the following membership. Appointing Brad Elliott, Tosca Smith, Tara Lumbra, and Shane Mercy, each to a 3-year term, and Abe Barnard, Tiffany Salyards, and Joanne Dennis, each to a 2-year term respectively.
I'll second that one.
Great, we have a second from Mark. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Just pausing for 1 sec, because I don't see Emily on camera, and I don't hear her.
Yes, sorry.
Nope, that's fine.
Aye.
Aye, okay, great. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries 5-0. Awesome. One of the first things that I'd ask you guys to do is the mission statement you have is great. If we could reformat that into more of like a charter that just outlines composition of membership, terms, duties, that kind of stuff. A lot of it's here, it can just be split out differently, and I'm happy to share some other ideas on that, but just something a little more formal that'll kind of essentially provide the guardrails of membership formation, duties, and powers.
I have just one more question was, and when it comes to like the rental of the space and that sort of rate setting, is that still a select board or is that a committee responsibility?
What I would say is we would kick it to the committee to formulate and justify it to come to the board to approve.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think our understanding is anything that we develop has to be approved by the board
Yes.
regardless.
Yeah.
We can't do anything independently of the town.
And we can talk about that as we kind of look at the charter too, because there might be certain things that we decide that makes total sense for you guys to do without checking with us,
Right.
whether it's like expenditures up to a certain amount of money or, but another part of it's like preparing a budget for the following fiscal year and having that prepared. So we can talk offline about that, and then maybe the board can approve the charter at the next meeting.
Okay.
So,
So just, yeah, okay.
Yep.
We can get that.
awesome. Well, this is great. The only way things happen in this town is if folks volunteer to do them, so it's awesome to see a group of volunteers who want to do something. So, thank you. That means a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Charlie, I have a question, Charlie.
Yes, Merle, go ahead.
I may have missed it, maybe just a technicality, but did you first vote to form a committee?
So I included the formation of the committee in the motion to make the appointments. The motion was to form the committee and then make the subsequent appointments.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I missed it.
No, thanks though. You know, it's always good to have a check. All right, if there's no other questions or conversation on this topic, we'll continue with visitors. And we'll continue with the room. Jimbo, do you have anything for visitors tonight?
Could I just sort of get a feel for what we're talking about?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, can I ask one question about the Grange?
Yeah.
If the Grange ventures into private affairs, that's where the Grange covers its own budget? I can also call you Tosca about this if this is like
Yeah, it's okay. Neighbor. I think we currently rent it to private individuals. I mean,
different rate.
years ago, when Rob and I had it, the money we brought in was significantly higher because we were catering and attracting wedding business in there. And we were getting $1,000 to rent that space for non-residents and $500 for residents. Because it came with a great kitchen, all the dishes, tables and chairs, which you cannot do with a tent and renting in a field.
Yeah.
So it was really attractive as a wedding venue I did probably 60 weddings in there in the course of 4 summers.
Yeah.
So that enabled us to raise enough money to do the roof. We did the front roof, the back roof, and had it painted and replaced the septic
Yeah.
tank, the concrete tank.
Yeah.
So we were able, and then we did town dinners that had themes 4 times a year, which were super fun.
Yeah.
So that
But like the heating bill would be covered by the.
we raised enough
Yeah.
money to pay for the building and all of its expenses for the time that we did that.
Yeah.
And then just kind of fell by the wayside as we moved on and did other things. But I think Rob and I, our initial want was to fix the roof.
Yep.
That front was.
Yeah, and I think part of this process will be having a committee that can do a little bit deeper dive into some of the budgeting, because the budget committee every year looks at it and says, okay, Grange Hall, every building, what do we need for heat, electricity, phone, internet, what's coming in, what's going out, and the budget committee talks about it, but like doesn't spend a whole lot of time on it. So if the town hall committee can develop a more kind of forward-thinking budget that kind of says, okay, here's what we're projecting for revenue, given what we're doing now, here are the capital projects we want to do, here's where we're setting up, and kind of think more about that. So yeah, so I think, Jimbo, the idea would be that the activities would cover the expenses, plus.
The change of use would be covered by the new activities included.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a taxpayer burden. Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah.
We did have actually a question, and Suzanne, I understand you got the grant for the EV charging station. That, Erin said she was tracking the cost of that, and I was kind of curious, and it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But of course, my husband, who's Mr., you know, his immediate thought was, well, when are they gonna pay for filling up my tank of gas?
Yeah.
And apparently there's people now from town that park there all night and charge their vehicles for free. So there was some discussion about, can a reader be put on that machine, or do we want to? I don't know, the original thought, it seemed like a great one, like having a charging station in town for people shopping, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I have no issue with that, but then when we were told by some, you know, it's anecdotal, but that there's a few of the same cars of people that live in town that are taking advantage of a free charge and parking all night, and my thought is, well.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
If it's negligible.
Yeah, well, I think there's 2 parts. One is, what is the cost? Is it negligible? And 2 is just the principle of, like, don't be an asshole, right? Like, and so.
On both sides. I'm doing too. That's the
Well,
first
no,
thing
no,
I
but it's a good point, because I think the idea was that it was used on an honor system, and it was to do that thing where it's like, hey, there's no public chargers around here.
Right.
This gets someone who's going to park there. They're going to have a beer at the shoe, grab something at Sylvester's, or go get a bite at Bernie's, kind of a thing. And it was paid for with grant funding, as you said. And I think, I'd have to go back and look, but there was a condition of the grant funding where for a certain period of time, I don't think we were allowed to charge for it, because the install was paid for. And so I think we're outside of that now.
I think it was 3 years.
3 years. So the trick now is going to be, with the kind of unit we have, what would the cost be to
And
install?
is it worth it?
The card reading
Right.
thing.
Yeah, because right now the unit doesn't support it. We'd have to either
Right.
change the unit or
Yeah.
put in a different add-on to it. I don't know.
I
if we
just wanted
can.
to see what the history was
Yeah.
and before anybody went,
Yep.
you know, off the rails. It sounds like Aaron's like it's pretty negligible. I mean, it's part of the Grange bill. It's part of the expense.
Yeah, yeah.
I
when
don't mind it being there. I think the people that
Mm.
are abusing it are doing mostly overnights, so that's really not impacting, like, if that's what, you know.
Yeah, I can check. I haven't asked Aaron in a while, but I want to say the cost of it was like a couple $100 a year
Yeah.
at the most. So
I think we need more
Yeah.
charging stations. If that's the direction the state's going, we should
Yeah.
have one, like, we should get them all over. I mean,
yeah, and we can also, as we think about other kind of parts of projects that are going on downtown, the town office site, all that kind of stuff, other opportunities to put chargers in that might make a
maybe
little bit
make
more
the
sense.
new ones
Yeah,
pay.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have
Yeah.
the secret one at the Grange. And,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
curious what the, you know, how it
Yeah.
started.
Mm.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. So,
I was just gonna pose a question to Mark that you might be able to speak to this. Do you know, like, as far as semantics go, if you can use the word Grange versus town hall, if we're not actually a Grange? I mean, everybody calls it the Grange. I didn't even know it was a town hall. I was like, oh yeah, I work there elderly.
I think technically it should be called town hall,
Town hall.
because the Grange is
Yeah.
not
It's
informed,
not a
not
thing.
a thing
You'd
anymore.
have to go
so-
through and be registered
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
Grange.
so I think we just need to call it the town hall.
Town hall.
We wanna do
Yeah.
Grange-like activities though.
Yeah,
I mean, the deed is
Yeah,
clear on this
farm,
one.
Well, we can run the town hall
Thanks.
however we want, if we wanna mimic what the Grange was doing and stuff, right? It's just the name.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, yeah.
but when we're
Yeah.
writing things actually, when we're
Yeah.
penning,
I mean, the Grange was an organization
Yeah.
and it's
Exactly.
not.
but like
so,
the town hall designation is most important when it comes to the legal
Yeah.
activities and functionings of the town.
Yeah.
So any kind of documents that say town hall legally refer to that building.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
So
And Crescent Theater is,
we call it AKA Grange.
yeah, you can call it whatever you want, but legally it is the town hall. Okay.
Okay. Penning it on
Yeah.
the.
Okay, well, we're gonna keep on moving
Thank
through
you,
the
guys.
agenda. You guys are welcome to hang out if you want. Don't feel pressured to. You're welcome to go too. So like I said, we're gonna keep going with visitors. So Jimbo, did you have something specific for visitors?
Yeah, I've just been catching bits and pieces of it, of like what has been happening with the road in the DB.
Yeah, I can give you a quick synopsis. We just talked about that real quick. There was some question about the actual limit of the legal right-of-way and whether or not any of that had turned into a trail at some point. When you look at the town highway maps, the designations are done by a code around the number and then the actual symbology used on the road. And the town highway map splits the class 4 road there, so there's two different kind of symbologies on the road, but it's all still a class 4 town highway. The property owner was questioning that as to the location that we had put down as being the end of the road. And so I just confirmed with Mark a minute before you got here that where he designated on the road is formally the end of the class 4 road. And so that would be where the landowner could put a gate if they wanted to install one at the beginning of the private portion of where that road goes through. And that's been what he's kind of been waiting on to go back with equipment, because what he basically said is, if I'm going back with machinery to pop decking down, I want to go back and do that gate at the same time rather than come back twice, which I think makes sense. So I can pass that along to Ethan now and then basically say, look, here's the answer. Let's get moving on a solution here.
Yeah, in the history, like if you go to V-Trans, they do by town, they do the history of the years added of the, class 4 road, like the miles and then the corrections and all the rest of it. Yeah, it was always a class 4 road.
Do you know who's been putting the debris in front of the bridge and on the other side of the bridge?
So I know that when they pulled the panels off initially, the guys that he had do that put stuff up in front of the bridge so that anybody
People didn't
coming
drive
down the road at night
yeah.
wouldn't just drive
Okay.
off it, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, right now the stringers are still there, so
Yeah, we
assuming
might
they're
have
not
a
icy and
couple
you're
of
okay with balance, you can walk
trees
across,
that
but
can
Yeah.
With the snow and in the mud, and I was like, what is your?
The bridge, it was a town bridge? Yeah, it was a town, it was a state, it was the culverts on the state map. Like I read, it's recognized as Vermont, the state of V-Trans culvert.
Maybe on their inventory, their culvert inventory?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Somewhere in here.
Yeah, it's probably in our culvert.
And so then the bridge it's a town bridge?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then to do work on a town bridge was like the town consultant?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this process did raise an issue that we had never dealt with before, but we have a process in place right now with Class 4 town roads whereby a landowner who lives on one or owns property on one can come to the town and say, hey, I want to do some work on this road, it's a Class 4 road, can I do it? Mark goes out, looks at the scope of the work, says this works, here are the conditions, comes back and checks it at the end, everything's good. We've never had one that deals with a bridge before, and so when the owner came up and said, hey, I want to improve this length of Class 4 town road, and then, I forget the exact wording, but also do some work on the bridge, that was approved as part of the agreement. What kind of threw a wrench in that whole system is after it, he then took the panels off for reasons that are separate from that, and left us in a position where we were kind of like, wait a second, the agreement.
This was part of the agreement.
The agreement says you can replace the panels. It doesn't give you the ability to maintain said structures in a way that you see fit. So because because typically with these, it's like, can I grade the road? Can I replace a culvert? I mean, that's the extent of whatever we've done. Never involved a bridge. And so no one's ever come back and been like, I replaced the culvert and then ripped it out a week later.
Yeah.
So this did present kind of a thing with our agreement where it was like, oh, okay, so I think the agreement needs to be reworked to be a little bit clearer in some areas. But that was the process there, is he did have a signed agreement with the town to work on the road and on the bridge. The final outcome of the condition of the bridge, though, was the kind of wild card that happened.
So it's like, it was a gray area that if you work on a bridge and make it impassable, that's a form of progress in working on the bridge.
Well, no, I mean, because
that's what I'm confused about.
The issue arose.
Like, I don't like people coming on North Hill Road, but like, I've been told I can't put speed bumps across North Hill Road or like put rebar in the road.
Yeah, I mean, the difference would be here is like if you were to say North Hill Road was a Class 4 road, and there was a culvert between your place and Tosca's, and you were like, hey, can I replace the culvert? We'd look at it with you, we'd write out an agreement and say, you can replace the culvert and maintain it with our permission, here you go ahead. Same kind of thing, except what happened here would be like if you went back a couple weeks later and said, hey, in replacing that culvert, something else happened that was unforeseen, I didn't like it, I'm gonna rip the culvert back out. The agreement doesn't like talk about any of that because it's never happened.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
call it a gray area, call it a lack of clarity, call it, somebody probably should have contacted us before doing something, there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but that's kind of the way that the agreement played out.
And now he's gonna put it back.
Yeah.
He's gonna put it back?
Yeah.
The decking, yeah,
I mean, it's pretty shabby.
That was part of his agreement. So
Yeah, I wasn't here for this
Pandora's
tonight.
box of like people just not wanting folks on the road and just like trashing the road. Like, like putting something across it, like.
Yeah, but according to, and I've told him this, according to state law, like you cannot obstruct a town highway, all that kind of stuff. The weird thing here was, and I shouldn't say weird, but like the little kind of gray area thing was the agreement. Because if the agreement had been written to say like, landowner, you now have permission to manage this structure in perpetuity or do something, potentially we would have been in an even weirder spot. But the agreement was just to replace the paneling. And so that's what the agreement needs to stick to. So, but either way, yeah, he's
I think it's important. Like, I mean, like if I get a driveway permit, and I'm like, oh, in the course of making my driveway, I like dropped all these trees across the road, and like, I guess
well, if you did,
traffic problem solved. Moving along, like it's like that could be like a really this isn't just our town. Like this sort of happening.
well, if you got a driveway permit and you got it approved by me, and then you put it in the wrong way, then you'd have to fix it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the same idea.
Yeah.
So pretty much here, we approved it, but then he took it back out, so that's why he's gotta. go
He's
back
gonna
and
fix it.
He's gotta redo it. Yeah.
How does he
gotta
get to
redo
his
it.
property if it's beyond that broken bridge? Goes around the other way. There is no.
Right now, he just walks across the stringers,
Yeah.
but he doesn't,
Equipment's
This
already
is-
there.
he
He built the
doesn't-
bridge, brought his equipment there, and then pulled the bridge
well, the
up.
equipment's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, the work was all, he,
But that's a through road, right?
no,
No,
No, okay.
yeah, it's a dead end. It goes
Yeah.
to nowhere
It
but
goes
that
into the
property.
ancient roads, you could probably get to.
Right, right.
You know,
Well, yeah.
Belvedere.
But just to be clear, that there's no other legal public right-of-ways extending from that one.
No,
So technically it is a public road, but it dead ends accessing
Right
only
before
that
the
one
bridge.
after the bridge.
right after,
After
right
the
after,
bridge,
right
yeah.
after the bridge.
It's a bit after the bridge too.
Because,
It's a good chunk.
because we've had other people come and wanna block off
So he
the
could
class
block it after
4,
the
but there
bridge
was
and
other
keep it.
properties
And,
on the
and
other
that was the
side.
question we were trying to figure out was where can he legally gate it? And,
Got
and
it.
that was the clarification we were looking
Got it.
for as far as,
Okay.
yeah.
I
That's his
understand.
property, yeah.
Yep.
So you get it.
That's the only way you can do work.
Yeah.
So,
On your property. I don't know, Billy Baker, one time I tried to do some work on a town road and it didn't work out.
no,
I learned very quickly you don't work on town roads.
We filled the
No.
pothole and
no.
Oh, yeah.
it's fine.
Well, I'm gonna ask you to pass me along to him, just that from the Alice Timberlands property management from 2016, the failure the disappointment that Gates did. Because, you know, he was gonna put a lot of time and effort into trying to solve a problem with Gates, that vehicles tend to cut trees and then go around Gates. It would be, I don't know, sort of another sad moment in a story that
It'd be
isn't
hard for us to
happy.
do that out there, the beavers are, the beaver pond has grown exponentially. I don't know if any of you have been out by where the bridge has been removed, but alongside, the right side there, there's a gigantic,
Oh, so they're back in the water.
big time,
Oh,
big
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can tell you firsthand, cause I'm out there,
well,
3 days a week, overnight and so forth, the traffic is almost nil.
Yeah.
We went out hunting, there's been a couple of foot traffic, people coming out, Heidi takes her dogs and so forth, but the beaver ponds are like,
Yeah.
they're like.
well, we've had a couple other places in town we've had issues. with.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think no big deal until those give way, which go to the creamery, which
Yeah.
go to the town, which end up in the village, and then,
Yeah.
anywho. I'm gonna bid
Has
you all
the
adieu.
characteristics of the
So much
bridge
for you guys.
changed?
What?
Thanks, bye.
guys, bye.
Hi, Tosca.
Thank you.
Has a what?
Is the characteristics of the bridge changed? Like, is it like capacities?
No.
No, so it's gonna be back the way it was.
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty much,
I mean, let's be honest, the way it was.
The way it was
The way it
was not
was
very good shape.
rotten plywood
Yeah.
haphazardly put down on metal stringers.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
This is a big
personally, I think the bridge is actually safer now because no one's gonna try to drive something across it.
yeah,
Whereas before, you could put your foot through that decking that was there,
and if
so.
somebody tried to go across it, they would have.
But when he redecks it, it will be redecked with a material that can support traffic across the bridge, so it'll be in better condition than it was.
Like sap trucks across the bridge? Or
Well, I think he wants to do some logging on.
Yeah,
the
he's gonna be
side,
doing
so-
logging, so
Yeah.
the decking is gonna have to support the weight of
Yeah,
a vehicle that can sustain that.
yeah. But the beams are still there.
See, but like, I feel like that should have been part of the question. Like, I wanna work on this bridge to make it so I can do this logging.
That was all part of the
Yeah,
conversation.
That
Yeah.
all was in the,
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't read the proposal,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was all there. I think
That was all there.
yeah, the wild card was just the decking
The deck
being
disappeared.
removed because of
Yeah.
the issues he was having with people trespassing on his property with motor
Yeah.
vehicles.
Yeah,
But I
yeah, I think I just worry that, it's not just his, I mean, there's some beautiful chunks of land back there. And, there's a lot of them looking for ways to get sap out. And I think that the dilapidated state of that bridge, made sure that they didn't come out along Deep Gibu Road, or like Gibu Road.
Yeah, yeah,
And as like a taxpayer of this town,
I don't think he's planning
just-
on any of that.
just-
yeah, I'm not aware of any plans. I mean, he specifically bought the property to keep it from becoming a sugar bush.
Yeah,
And to keep it open for non-motorized public recreation,
Yeah.
hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
So I don't see that issue, at least Not anytime soon.
No.
Yeah.
It'd just be a, yeah, it just seemed like it was all a precarious balance, and so, I mean, I guess it's nice to bridge gap fix, but if it opens a door to something's gonna cost out of that, would be good, but I guess, you live in a state where your word is worth something, so that's a nice thing.
Yep.
So, well, thank you for
Yeah.
the update. I wish, like, I'm sorry you guys have to keep repeating this, but it's just, like, to make all the meetings, it has been a lot, and I've just had a lot of stuff
Yeah.
going on, so
Not a problem.
thank you for catching me up.
Not a problem. Thanks, Jimbo. Let's go to the Zoom now. Merle, do you have anything for visitors tonight?
Yeah, I have a question about, the curbs in the center. And how will those curbs make life better for everyone? What's the benefit
With the
of the
streetscape.
curbs?
So the idea behind a raised curb is that it separates pedestrian traffic from vehicular traffic, creating a hard separation of the two. So there's less chance of vehicles hitting pedestrians. It will also, reduce the parking of vehicles on the sidewalk, which forces pedestrians to walk out into the travel way, which opens pedestrians up to vehicular accidents.
And if we have to plow the sidewalks with cars parked on them, it's gonna be difficult to do that, if we have to do that.
Is
I mean-
there, can I jump in, is there a
I
plan
don't
if?
think there's ever been an accident, and
is
I just, there's real concerns about those curbs. I don't know if the people, anybody's talking to you about them or not. A lot of people complain and carry on, but they don't go to the people that can do something about it, and that's you people.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's gonna make life very difficult for people in town, especially when there's events like town meeting and other events in town. Cars are lined up all the way up and down the main street in the center. Where in the world are the people gonna go? Where are they gonna park? And if they can't park, are they gonna attend these events, It just seems it's very detrimental. It's gonna make life very, very unpleasant for a lot of people in town. And there's real no benefit. I know what you said, but that's real no benefit, Charlie, if you really look at it.
Well, I think that's a matter of opinion, to be honest, but I understand what you're saying.
We are looking into.
Yeah, and as far as additional parking goes, we are looking at redeveloping the property where the old town office structure is into more parking. So we do hope to gain another 20 plus spots there. And I agree with you, Merle. There's going to be situations where people are going to park on the sidewalk when there's townwide events. I mean, it's going to happen. I think the thing that we're trying to discourage is, for example, every morning I drive by Bernie's and there's 5 cars parked half-ass out into traffic and the back lot's empty. So that curb might just be the impetus people need to drive around back and park in the actual parking lot. So it's the day-to-day management of parking on Main Street that we're really trying to manage. I agree with you though, there's gonna be situations where there's events where there's just that many people, and in those situations, I think people will just end up parking on the sidewalk. I mean, I've seen it happen elsewhere. But if we can discourage it as a regular routine practice by creating more parking and putting the curbs in, that's the hope.
So there's gonna be.
I guess you just have to climb over the curb and park.
Yep.
That's what's gonna happen, I guess, because, we want people town meeting, trying to get more and more people town meeting, and I don't know if some of it don't have a place to park. Might discourage them.
Yep.
To me, if you wrote the pluses and the minuses far outweigh the pluses of installing those, and it just, you should always do what's in the best interest of the people, I think, and like I say, I think you would agree, it's gonna make life pretty unpleasant for a lot of people. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Merle.
Yeah. A quick question on that same thing. So with this raised curb, what is the idea of how it's gonna be cleared with snow?
Yeah, so we're investigating how we do that. So
I'm just wondering,
yeah.
that's just been a thought of mine.
yeah, it would not be put on the property owners. You know, one way some towns do it is to say, if you live in a place with a sidewalk in front of your house, plow your sidewalk. I mean, that's not the route we're gonna go.
No.
I think what we're gonna start to do is try to price out what a small sidewalk plow would cost, and then look at where we can house it, and then try to find, you know, a reasonable way of staffing it.
Yeah, I think it'd create a nice winter job for somebody.
Yeah.
You'd probably be putting a
Yeah, I was
building
just
up here or
wondering, just
something.
because the plow's not gonna be able to plow.
Oh,
the
yeah.
sidewalk
No,
anymore.
we
Yeah.
would need the, yep.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
different, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Does it change who plows Main Street?
No, so
No.
this work still retains that as a class 1 town, or a class 1 state highway, so the state would still plow Main Street.
Yeah,
Okay.
we worked it out.
And they don't care if they do sidewalks or whatnot?
No.
No.
Well, we've been in talks with them, so everything we're doing is so that they will still plow everything.
Yeah. Yeah,
Run
V-Trans-
everything by them, and so, yeah.
Yeah, V-Trans is at every bi-weekly project meeting, so they review everything. So right now, and since we're talking about it, I'll just say it, right now, so we had a meeting last week with the design team, plus with V-Trans, to go back over the feedback from the public meeting, the feedback from the board, articulating what design elements we're forwarding. So they're now moving from the conceptual plans into that next stage of deliverable. So that's going to kind of keep the ball rolling. All that goes to V-Trans as the new designs come out. And then through this next iteration of plans, we should start to hone in more on the eventual cost for the work. So remember now, we've got that TAP grant in play. We have the NBRC award for just shy of $1 million. And we also are working with regional planning, is helping us manage the project, and in talking with Bethany, specifically Bethany last week, there's additional grant opportunities that we're now going to start to chase down now that we've kind of figured out the scope of the project. The goal would be to raise at least another 1.5 million.
There was something else I thought of the other day is, like all the fire hydrants on Main Street should be replaced. So that actually should be done before we do the sidewalks and all that stuff. So I don't know if that can be rolled into the project. And then all the curb stops for all the houses, most of them are in the right near the sidewalks, but if they make the sidewalk wider, they're gonna be in the sidewalk. So those should be part of the project too, is to replace all those
Okay.
while we've got things dug up. Because they were all put in early 70s, so they all should be.
When you had that meeting,
Yeah.
did you happen to ask them that
I did.
refresher question?
Yeah, and what he came back with was essentially, I can read you his response.
What was the question?
The question was, in the course of all of this, did we discount the stop sign at the intersection of 118 and 242 coming north? So for example,
Oh.
you cross the bridge on a stop sign. The question was that addressed and discounted, and what,
Bye.
and what he came back with, what Peter Pochout, who's the permitting guy, basically says is, he sent the question around again just to make sure he had it clear, and it revolves around the 2019 Road Safety Audit Report, which I'm happy to provide a copy of if anyone wants it. The manual on uniform traffic control devices does not allow the use of stop signs for traffic calming. And while the agency has not conducted a formal evaluation of an always stop at the intersection, it does not seem likely we would support it at this time. The Road Safety Audit Report identified that the condition could be further evaluated after access control and measures and pedestrian facility improvements were implemented near the intersection. What I asked him was, wouldn't the improvements you want us to do require us to take it on as a Class 1 town highway? And he responded, not necessarily. So essentially, based on the Road Safety Audit Report and the manual on uniform traffic control devices, V-Trans has said, no, we're not going to put a stop sign there.
Seems like not a very solid
Yeah.
reason.
But anyway, that's the response that I got from V-Trans on the
Okay.
stop sign question. Sorry.
Yeah.
I know the town, I think I mentioned at that meeting, the town I know 3 times, and I think 4 times since the early 1980s, the town has approached V-Trans on that subject.
Yeah.
And time, V-Trans that says it's just, it doesn't want it.
Yeah.
There's no to change the traffic control there.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is coming from the government body that put the new stop sign up at the bottom of 242 facing the wrong direction. Anybody remember that?
Yes.
When they put it in and it was like, the stop sign is facing the snowshoe. How does that work?
Yeah.
You're coming out of the snowshoe when they put it up.
Yeah, right. There you go.
It is Main Street and it's a state highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
it's just like to wrap your head around that bit. Whoa.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say the extra parking was on this project up here?
No, the extra parking we're looking at developing is down where the old town office is
Oh,
located.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what I was wondering, if there was any plans for that.
Taking that down.
Yeah.
Taking it right out.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that again in a minute, but that's the plan for there.
Yeah.
So we're gonna keep going with visitors. Kip, anything for visitors tonight?
Just here the updates, Charlie.
Okay, thanks, Kip. All right, well, with that, let's keep working through the agenda. Old business streetscape project. So we were just discussing this. The update there is the design team has taken the feedback, the confirmation from the board, and is now advancing to the 30% design, which is the next essentially step. Engineering designs usually go 30% where there's a hold point where all the state folks have to look at it and approve it, and we look at it and approve it. 60%, same thing, state approves it, we approve it, and then 90% gets us to construction. So they've got the conceptual designs all done. Should be pretty quick to get to the 30%, and then it's gonna move from there. So the next thing we'll look to do is get the 30% design back. There's a little bit of additional work they need to do, some surveying at the rec center. But one nice thing is that all the survey work we did for the wastewater project in the center removes any need for that as part of the streetscape project. And same with some of the soil boring work we did. So there's cost savings already kind of showing up having the parallel projects. So that's the update on the streetscape. Yes.
Before I go, I don't know if you've noticed, I don't know if Emily's with you or not, but her video's been out for about the last half hour when it comes to approving minutes. I don't know if she's with you or not.
I think she can hear us.
I'm here, but if I turn my video on, then I can't hear you.
Yeah.
It's internet, thanks to Consolidated Communications.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, good night.
Thanks, Merle.
Bye.
So the wastewater streetscape, or the wastewater project update, few things to talk about and move on with the board this evening. One is that we did get back the Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan that we've been waiting on. If folks remember how this is all worked out, we had an initial loan through CWSRF that was paying for the engineering work through that initial shot. They then split the loan agreement into two agreements, one that tracks with the center, one that tracks with the village.
Yeah.
Things had been kind of held up and paused with the village system kind of now in the unknown, kind of how it's gonna progress.
Yeah.
Feasibility of it, given the site. So we worked through things with the bond bank, and yesterday, Thursday, they finally issued the loan agreement for the center to keep that work moving forward.
Okay.
So we do have the approval of that loan tonight as a board action if we so choose to. This loan amount this is a big one. This is in the amount of $974,948. This comes with $125,000 subsidy, which is essentially principal forgiveness. If you guys remember, the reason why we issued multiple loans and split them was because each time we issue a multiple or we split, we end up with that extra $125,000 in subsidy tacked to each loan. So just as a reminder to folks, initially the first loan we got was for about $125,000. That was then added on to with an additional $125,000. That opened up about $250,000 in subsidy. So that $300,000 of $250,000 in initial loan actually got rolled back into principal forgiveness. So the initial loan was a kind of a net, well, at the end of the day, I think we carried forward like a few $1,000 in debt through that. This is the splitting of the village and the center. And so this center one moves forward with that 974,000 with that 125 subsidy. And then all of these loans that we're working on now eventually get rolled up and paid off with one of the pollution control grants the state's already said that we're getting. We've got a $2.5 million pollution control grant award kind of in the docket, which these loans will get paid off by.
Oh, okay.
So essentially the loans roll forward, capturing all the subsidy we can to basically draw down the principal. The principal gets paid off by the $2.5 million pollution control grant. And that's how that debt service works. So the action tonight would be to approve loan RF 1340 2.0 in the amount of $974,948 directed at advancing final engineering for the center wastewater project. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Great, thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Leanne, thanks Leanne.
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money, yeah.
How long did it take you to wrap your brain around all of that subsidy back?
Oh, trust me, it's like every time I look at this, I have
I
to
don't know
run
how they came
forward.
up with that number, why didn't you say $1 million?
Yeah, it's,
I mean, it's
anyway.
like 900.
I sat down the other day and actually wrote all of this out in a Word document. You know the spreadsheet we've looked at before a few times?
Yeah.
Spreadsheet's great for the numbers, but a lot of this, like
Wow.
how funds play with what, who pays back what. I wrote out like a 4-page Word doc that kind of narratively explains it. I'm waiting for a couple pieces of clarification from rural development, but once that's done, I'll give it to everybody, and it's really kind of a step-by-step, which tries to explain it a lot clearer. I found it really helps to understand the sequencing here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the key is that this is a loan to advance the center. It comes with that 125,000 principal forgiveness, and then the end amount gets rolled up with that PC grant.
Yeah.
Any more discussion on the motion? Hearing no more discussion on the motion, we will vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye from Emily. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries 5-0. I do need board signatures on those documents. I didn't have a chance to print them off this afternoon because my printer ran out of ink, but I'll get those printed and then just expect me to try to come find you tomorrow or Wednesday.
Okay.
Just a heads up.
Yeah.
Quick update. One of the things we were looking to do following the loss of that village property that we'd been looking at for 6 months plus was to go back to the drawing board and see if there are any other potential sites that might work. Out of the 20 so we looked at,
Yeah.
they were all previously discounted. There is one site we have identified that might work for the village. It's located up on West Hill. I have not contacted the landowners yet. I just got their phone number this afternoon, but the first step will be essentially a phone call just saying.
Is that the field on the right?
Yeah, it's by Ruth Shine's old place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first step will just be asking them if they have any interest at all in having a conversation about this. And if so, what does that look like? They could come back and say, rightly so, we're not interested, and that would.
I think that's what, well, I mean, I hate the field.
Yeah, I know you do, yeah.
But,
So I don't know.
I mean, it's worth asking.
Yeah, it's worth asking, but that really is the last.
The people who bought Ruth Shine's place?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
they bought the house and the field by it. Yeah.
They're pretty chill.
Yeah. But again, it's, I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to try to project anything, and they have every right, it's private property, every right to say
It
no.
would definitely be the upper part of the field because the lower part's wet.
Yeah. So anyway, so I'm gonna continue to investigate that. Lastly, on the update here, we do have a response to the offer that the board came up with last time on the center property.
okay.
So if folks are okay with that, because it is a discussion regarding the negotiations around the sale of real property, if we want to discuss that, we can go into executive session.
Okay, so we'll just wait till the end.
Yeah, so if you want, we can put a pin in that.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, item 5C, this is 98 Main Street. So I have a call scheduled with the United States Postal Service tomorrow at 10 a.m., I think. All they've said now in writing is we want to move forward with a new project in the center. So they said they want to move forward with a new project, with a new location. I'll find out more tomorrow from them. But that's the feedback we have from USPS. I think we should all just be
I know,
immensely happy they responded.
I know Peter Welch wasn't too happy with them because when Montpelier flooded.
Yeah.
Right.
Now the people have to go to Barry to get their mail because they didn't find a new place
Yeah.
for them, so. He didn't have very good words for them.
Oh, trust me, when I saw that press conference with him and Phil Scott, part of me wanted to be like, us too, but for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
I saw that on the news. It's like,
yeah. Welcome to our world.
Yeah, yeah.
So hopefully by tomorrow we'll have more information on that. On the TD Bank item here, which is the next item, I did get an email back from TD Bank saying that they received the correspondence regarding a new small standalone structure and they're kind of running it through their people, but they will follow up with us.
Okay.
So both of those conversations are moving forward.
Okay.
We have an added item here, the PSB renovation. Did you have something specific to that?
Yeah, I just, I've been hearing a lot about some of the developments on the library end specifically. And I just have I think as a select board, we should be a little more involved because when this whole construction goes down, whatever components are a part of it, that's gonna be reflected on us, not necessarily the two committees that are doing the developments. So I think it might be worthwhile to get an update from those
Sure.
committees of what their ideas are and where where they each stand.
So what you're saying is you're gonna volunteer to sit in on those committee meetings? On the board, from the board?
I mean, I don't mind being a board liaison. I do think, it does kind of seem like there should be some
Yeah.
mediation going between. I don't know if I'm the right candidate for that.
Well, no,
but-
I think, I think there's two things. One is mediation. The other is just an update. But I think you're right. We haven't had an update from either side of this project in about 6 months, a
Yeah.
formal one at least. So I think inviting the committees to a future meeting to give an update on where things are at and what's next is totally warranted.
Were we supposed to be doing something on the new line, or the boundary lines and all that?
Yep, that's coming up next.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, that is on here.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boundary line adjustment, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
happy, I'm happy to reach out to them and see if we can schedule that for either the next meeting in December or the first one in January.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. So with that, we can move to new business, item B. We already hit item A. So item B, this is what Mark was just referring to.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a hard copy here, but I will also share
Yeah, I saw
a
that.
copy on the screen.
This is what we got
The email
via
we got.
email from
Yeah.
Liz, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, from Liz, I'm just gonna read Liz's correspondence to the board on this. Attached is the draft retracement survey from Michael with the edits made by Jesse and myself for the board to review. The orange line is the suggested new boundary line that Jesse has agreed to. So that would be the lower line
Oh, wow.
that jogs. Yeah, here's the hard copy if you guys want to take a quick look at that.
Yeah.
So the orange line is the suggested new boundary line that Jesse has agreed to. The green and red lines are the respective boundary lines from the 2013 tax map and 2023 tax map, which both indicate widespread discrepancies as found by the surveyors. This change, the orange line, would result in his parcel boundary being scaled back towards the tree line / old woven fence, meaning he is going to lose some slight acreage. The grand list data pulls from deed descriptors to create tax map calculations in the absence of a survey, so once the final survey plat is filed, this will have an effect on the size of his parcel for next year's grand list.
Oh, okay.
In this scenario, the town is gaining land, so to speak. Jesse has requested as part of this process, since he is giving up a portion of his acreage, that the town, since he is giving up a portion of his acreage to the town from this adjustment, he has requested that Jarvis outline the remaining boundary lines on his parcel to be included in this final survey plat. This means Jarvis would need to conduct some additional work to complete the final survey and has estimated a ballpark cost to be around $2,000 to $25,000. Continuing on, this is from Liz, my recommendation to the select.
Wait, 2,000
To 2,500.
to 2,500?
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, did I say 25,000?
Yes, you did.
Sorry,
Yes, you did.
yeah.
That was a big range.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So from Liz, my recommendation to the select board would be to accept the proposed boundary retracement outlined in orange and direct Michael Jarvis to complete the additional boundary lines for the Robbins parcel and include these in the final survey plat. I would also recommend that the final build amount for the additional work be split between the town and the library budget, just like the previous invoice from Jarvis. So the action items before the board tonight would be to accept the orange line as the retracement line, and then second would be, if we are inclined, to direct Jarvis to include the Robbins property on the final survey plat. That's where the additional cost would come in.
Yeah.
What does plat mean?
Plat is just the formal name for a survey.
Pin, like a pin, or the,
It's a
Set?
survey.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the survey itself is a plat.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not know that term.
yeah,
Yeah.
so his name will be on that, so.
So, well, yeah, it'll be a survey
Yeah.
of the town's property and Jesse's property.
Yeah.
So it'll be a survey of both.
Yeah,
Yeah, so as you can see, depending on kind of which line you're looking at, Jesse might be giving up half an acre,
yeah, probably,
between half and 3/4 of an acre.
yeah.
So, what do folks think? We can jump right to motions, we can have discussions, we can,
I'll make a motion to readjust the line to the orange, this orange line, Jesse Robinson
Yep.
property, and then, have Michael Jarvis redo the plaque, not to exceed 2,500.
okay. So, the 2,500 cost, I don't know how we would include,
Or just,
yeah, because that's the additional, so I don't know what the full cost of it's gonna be.
okay.
So, yeah.
so, I guess we don't, and just,
Yeah.
Take that part out.
Yeah, yeah, so I'd say, so the motion, I think, Mark,
Yeah.
as you said, would be to, the motion would be to,
move the line to the orange.
yeah, accept the new, where are we?
Suggested
New,
line?
new
Yeah,
adjusted line.
accept the proposed boundary retracement outlined in orange.
Yes.
And direct Mike Jarvis to include the Robbins parcel in the final survey plat.
Yes, yeah, that's.
Okay,
I'll
great.
second that.
We have a second from Suzanne. Is there any further discussion? Not hearing any, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries 5-0. I will let Mike and Liz know. Continuing down the agenda, health officer appointment. So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I have not heard back from the individual that I had reached out to, so I will try to contact him again unless anybody else has any.
Did you ask Tim?
I did not ask Tim yet. He's another one that I haven't contacted yet, so I gotta contact him and Tim. I'll do
We
both.
don't have them lined up out the door.
Yeah.
for that.
Okay, so there's no other appointments or nominations to be made to that. We will continue to get names. So next up is the FY25 dispatch contract with the St. Albans Police Department. So this is standard contract we receive every year from St. Albans. This is for dispatch services. The number that stands out here is the town shall pay an annual fee of $15,837.
I think that's what we budgeted, yeah.
Which is, yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but that's just about what we budgeted.
Well, I think we had the estimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, I think we did have the estimate,
Yeah.
yeah, so it is budgeted. No wonder it looks familiar.
Yeah, that's right, sounds
Okay.
familiar to me too.
So is there a motion to approve the emergency communications and dispatch services contract with the town of St. Albans, or the city of St. Albans?
I'll make that motion.
Great, we have a motion from Leanne. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Suzanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries.
Hopefully we get the Reagan Road project done, so then we can.
They can hear them,
We
yeah.
can have better communications.
Okay. Great, then the only other item here to act on would be, we have a liquor license from Mindful Bellies LLC. This is Omakase. This is for a first class and a third class liquor license. Is there a motion to approve the liquor license for Mindful Bellies LLC?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Great, motion made by Mark, seconded by Suzanne. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. That brings us through the agenda with the only outstanding item being conversation or discussion around the property purchase negotiations. Again, this can be held in executive session since it involves the negotiations around the sale of real property. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Leanne. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Suzanne. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no discussion, we'll vote. All those in favor of entering into executive session to discuss the purchase of the center disposal site for the wastewater system, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, then we are entering into executive session at 7:57. I'm going to stop the recording.